Hello ladies and gentlemen, Rosie here, and today we're going to be doing another Godzilla Battle Line tier list, this time for Champion of the Sky. I actually like this method better. This is the first time I've waited until the end of the season, before I just do them at the beginning. And I think this gives the meta more time to develop with any changes that are going in, so I can't just completely jump the gun and make a tier list that wasn't actually accurate for the season, it was kind of more accurate for the beginning of that season. So, I think to avoid that again, we're going to do the end of the month for a tier list and the end of the season. Champion of the Sky has 1 day left, so I think it's about time to update this. Now, the meta has changed a lot. Even though we've only gotten a small set of tweaks to specific characters and pieces, the meta has changed a lot. And I'd say that the reason that the meta has changed a lot specifically is that Gigan, as a leader, has risen to S tier. Okay, he will not be an S tier on this list because I don't really do leader tier lists. There's not enough of them. Only just Gigan and Godzilla are the best leaders in the game. Like, that's Gigan, Godzilla, and Biollante. Everybody else is pretty useless. Mechagodzilla can theoretically counter a bladed Ripper with his ability, but just it's not the greatest thing in the world. Just, you want to be sticking to Gigan and Godzilla mostly, but Godzilla you need on your team, so there's an argument for Mechagodzilla, I guess, sure, but most of the leaders in the game are that are Gigan are pretty bad. Okay, but basically, Gigan's ability, Bladed Ripper, for those of you who don't really play this game, Gigan's Bladed Ripper allows everything on the field to get a massive speed boost. All grounded all grounded creatures get a massive speed boost, okay? This can be tanks, monsters, whatever's on the ground moving gets a speed boost, okay? So, 89 can dash in much faster than he's supposed to be going and just kill your leader instantly, okay? It's basically a fucking equivalent to an OTK in Yu-Gi-Oh! I call it an OPK, right? Yeah. One push kill, which is the meta of this game right now. One push kills are the meta of this game. Your life bar is a resource to then go in and do an OPK with your squad. That's basically the meta. Sometimes you have to fall, and you shouldn't really be anticipating OPKs unless when you play this game enough, when you're about to get an OPK, you're gonna know because your opponent doesn't have really enough energy. If your opponent has enough energy to push back and counter something, like, you should be like kind of almost figuring out where their own energy is at. This is Clash Royale stuff too, and to just anticipate the OPK from there. But basically, your life bar is a resource for you to use. The only life that this is why I think this game is kind of similar to Yu-Gi-Oh, but never mind. The only thing that matters is your last point. Okay? That's the only thing that matters. Your bar is a resource to be used in some situations. Okay? But basically, that's what the game is. Gigan, it basically forces your opponent to be low on energy when you go in for the kill. Okay? So, this tactic has shaped the metagame around it this month. Gigan was starting to see experimentation last month, but now it's completely clear that he's the most dominant force in the game as a leader. Okay? So, this ability has kind of shaped the meta around him, and we'll explain why. Okay, so let's just drop Gigan back down here for right now, and let's start tiering, okay? I want to start with the S tiers as usual. The S tier does not look the same as it did before. There's only 2 S tiers in the game now. I totally forgot them. Ghidorah has not been tested yet, but it's likely that the 2 S tiers in the game are essential for every team. Oh wait, no, there's 3 S tiers. My bad. There's 2 win condition S tiers. Ultima is still the best character in the game. He's got the biggest range and then the biggest damage on top of it. He's very easy to protect and guide along down. He's not the biggest damager to the leader, but he's so good at winning 1v1 still that he's still the best character in the game. Completely worth getting. Completely worth the resources that you can. People will just give up as soon as people evolve their trees. That's how good Ultimate is right now. Godzilla 89, still, his massive health comes with this massive potential to win 1v1s. One of the only units that beats Ultima 1v1. He beats every grounded unit 1v1 1-on-1. Everybody. It doesn't matter what it is. He has unprecedented attack, unprecedented bulk. He has the most synergy with Bladed Ripper. He continues to just have synergy with like every leader power in the game. He's so good, bro. He'll just go down and he can smash the leader in 2 or 3 hits, especially late game where you can just drop him right next to the leader, and like late game he just gets a tremendous buff. Basically, some decks I played against are literally just trying to stall the late game so they can drop 89 on you late game and then kill you with him. Like, literally. I've played against non-Ultima strategies that are just survive to late game and then drop 89 right next to the leader and you can't kill him. It's crazy, but it's true. Insanity. And then the other character that I have promoted to S tier, other people have started promoting him to S tier as well because his presence in the game is getting quite ridiculous, and that is Manila. Manila, if your team doesn't have Manila in it, it's completely worse than it could be. There's no reason to not use him. Like, he is good in literally every deck in the game. He transforms 1v1s insanely well, and he has this thing I've dubbed stun locking. I don't know if other people use it. It's a common term in other games, so I foresee other people have started calling it that too. He has what I call a stun lock, where he can literally stun lock units from moving. Okay? Units that he can stun lock are Ultima, Godzilla 89, Angerus, Kong, Space Godzilla. Okay? Everybody else can kind of get consistent hits. Godzilla 2021, he can basically stun lock him as well. The other units in the game will just lose 1v1s because Manila's there and causing them to attack less, and he can snuff out an occasional attack that they do. But the units I just listed, he can actually stun lock, and they just cannot move ever. So they're just stuck there. It's pretty crazy. He can also stun lock Terrestrius, which is good in Terrestrius' latter 15 seconds. It's not good in his first 15 seconds, though. There's an exploit where some people can take advantage of Manilas to evolve their Ultimas. So that's the worst thing about Manila right now. But everything else about Manila is just so good. There's no reason not to use him. He is incredible. He can stun King Caesar out of his dash on the water. That's really fucking good. Manila is just fucking insane. I think another reason he rose to S tier is that everybody else around him kind of fell, and he just didn't take a hit at all. He's so fucking good, bro. He's an insane piece for 2 costs. Fucking ludicrously good. So yeah, those are your 3 best characters in the game right now. These 3 pieces arguably should be on every team, and I can honestly look at your team and tell you what to take out to put one of them on it. Even the teams I don't run everyone. Like, I have a military team where I don't run Manila. If I was trying to win with that team every time, I would take out a unit and throw Manila on it. I know which one I would take out as well. But it's just insanely good, bro. So, yeah, those 3 characters should be on every team you have. For real. They really should. Okay, so those are the S tiers. Combined with Gigan as a leader is the only thing. These are the characters shaping the game right now. Okay, so what is it that you should be running? Okay, now we're going to go in order. The military, the helicopters. I'm very tempted to put this in D. In fact, I think I'm still going to. The planes, helicopters, whatever they are, they're still fucking horrible. As somebody that has leveled them up and started to work with them and found some insanely niche uses for them, they are still pretty bad. The absolute weakest military unit in the game. 6 costs, they should get lowered to 5, honestly. They need a buff bad. You could make them 4, honestly, if you really wanted to, like, work with them. They are pretty fucking bad. I'm not saying you'll never win with them, because if you can somehow get the meta in there, you can like have 1 or 2 non-viable pieces on your team and still do okay. And they can beat grounded units like an Angerus or a Kong or an 89. They can kind of do well against, but 89 just has so much health. The best thing that they have, okay, is distracting units, okay? But there's no reason to use them over their counterparts, the tanks, as well as the other swarms in the game. Like, if you want to distract Ultima for a few seconds as he marches down, you can use literally anything else that's not this. So I don't really see that as an argument for this thing having niche use. It's just bleh. It's bleh. This thing is bad. 6 cost, it loses to like everything. People will just use this as an opening to like get a Terrestrius out there and start blowing shit up in the back. And then this is not good at all. The only time I ever play this in the deck I run it is when I'm winning. So it's pretty fucking bad. Win more units. Total win more unit. It was better back when grounded units saw more play. But now that everything is like in the air, most units in the game can hit in the air. So it's pretty trash now. Angerus. Angerus, my original intent was to either leave him in C or even drop him to D, but then I just like had like a fury with him. I started working with him, and my rank went 200 positions up in the top 100. This character, I was gonna throw him an A, but as I played him a bit more, I did start to see other problems with him. But I will say that this character is a B tier. He's a character that is team specific, but you can pull him off. He's a very good damage soaker. Okay, he has lots of bulk and lots of attack, so he can beat a fair amount of units in the game one-on-one. He can kill Terrestrius, he can defeat Mechagodzilla, he can even kill Ultima in some niche situations. So like he has some utility. He can kill King Caesar. Well, at least he can take it Caesar dash, but like that's not a lot. He can beat Jaguar sometimes. Then it's probably level dependent. He does fairly okay against Swarms because of his insane bulk. He can take a lot of the damage they give him and off their numbers quite a bit to where they're not as oppressive as they come down. And he can do a fair lot of damage, so your opponent kind of has to deal with him. They don't really want him getting in. I mean, they'd rather him get in than some of the other units in the game, but like they still kind of don't want him on them. So like he's all right. If for 5 costs, you can't really go wrong. He's a very good damage soaking unit for 5 costs. The best damage soaking unit in the game for that amount. He's just kind of a mini 89. You kind of play him exactly like 89 for 5 costs. I mean, don't expect the insane results you'll get with 89. He can't do what 89 does, but a unit that is acting like 89 is not non-viable, or they don't have niche use. There's a lot of general use they can do. Especially with that 5 cost, you'll sneak him in. You'll sneak him in. Like when your Ultima's about to charge up, you'll sneak him in, and then the Angerus will keep going forward while the aerial units just kind of hit him while Ultima starts blasting them. So if the guy plays like a Mega Gyrus or something, well, okay, maybe not Mega Gyrus. I guess fucking Ghidorah is the best example. Somebody has a Ghidorah out, the Angerus will keep going, and the Ghidorah will just sit there and like shock it. And Ultima will just be blasting it, so like your Ultima gets saved so much damage because of Angerus. So very good unit with some niche use. Okay, not very niche use. Just he's got some team specific. You have to kind of understand what you're doing and know how to use him. And he's very team specific, but he's actually all right. Another team specific character. I skip evolutions, by the way. I just consider it one whole character. And that is Biollante. Biollante still kind of gets a lot of shit, but for 3 costs, she doesn't really need to do much when she's out there. It's more about the rotation and the cycling through. You get another body on the field, and she can kill swarms and hit multiple targets. Splash damage is never bad. Like, she's not bad. She's just underwhelming is just the word I would use for it. With all of her attributes on paper, you'd think she'd be a little bit better than she is. But I attribute it to, like, kind of, I want to say a lack of bulk, lack of attack power. Like, her attack isn't the strongest. But, no, she's team-specific. She can, like, you can slide her out there, get another body, let Ultima win some 1v1s he wouldn't before. She's all right, and she just got a range buff, so not the best in the game. No reason to actually kind of use her because of some of the other units. But, like, if you take those other units away and look at her just by herself, she can kind of do something. That may seem a bit hypocritical because we did put the planes, helicopters in D tier because of the fact that the other units do everything they're trying to do but better. But that's just one use. The other units that I was talking about with the helicopters, they have other uses. Like, they do other things besides just the helicopter's job better. And we'll get to those when we get there. So, like, she has other... Like, the helicopters are good at one thing. Biollante is good at several things. So even though she's not the best at those several things, you can't really say she's not viable. You just have to say she's either niche use or team specific. But the things she's good at are kind of helpful. So I just throw her in team specific, even though she's admittedly not the best, but you can use her if you really want to. Batra. This unit is underrated. I see people sleeping on this unit. No, A tier. Definitely A tier. Okay, flying, good. That's good right away. Flying, which means you just don't get hit by some units, which is really good when you're talking about a tier list. Uh, a surprisingly strong DPS amount, strong attack, strong attack as well as frequent attacks. Batra attacks a lot, and like every time you get hit by Batra, it's like holy fuck, I took that much damage. Like Batra's good, and when Batra comes out, Batra gives you attack boosts, which are insanely good right now. You don't want Ultima getting a boost in attack. You don't want like any of the units like a Rodin or a Jet Jaguar getting a boost in attack. Batra is like so good at stuffing out evolutions, which Gyrus is too, but we'll get there. But like just so good, especially late game when Batra can almost buff your entire field as the field shortens. Batra comes out, buffs 4 of your monsters, then all of a sudden everything's dead on your opponent's side, and you're just smashing for game. Like Batra's underrated right now. Good health and good attack, good deep. What else? Like why is this character bad? 5 costs. I don't know what people are pointing to as to why this character is bad. Especially when you can hit the units in the game that you need to hit, like a Ghidorah or a Gyrus or a Rodin or a Mothra. Like you can hit these units, so and you're good at it, and you can give good DPS. You can actually do enough damage to Ultima to kill him in just a few hits. You can actually effectively damage 89 with your attack boosts and shit. You can provide support to where other 1v1s will get one around you because you're just there. Like that's good stuff. Batra has lots of general application to make him easy to slide onto various teams. He's very, very good. Next, another non-viable unit, the Stealth Bomber. Its buff didn't really help it much. The Stealth Bomber was like better back when they nerfed it for 1, and 2, general power creep has caught up to it. Now that the game seems to be dominated by the air units after the 4-star buff, Rodin's buff, Gyrus's buff, like you have to be able to hit the air units. Like half the shit in the game isn't grounded anymore, so you can't just play your Stealth Bomber and expect it to get all the way fucking down there. It's just gonna die every time. It's a complete waste of 6 energy. There's no reason to fucking use it. You're better off with Gigan, who's a grounded unit. Like, that's how bad this thing is. Gigan at least does more damage when he gets in, and has synergy with Biollante's ability, which this thing doesn't have. Has no synergy with the leaders. That's another issue that makes it fucking non-viable. And it's just a sitting duck. It's a Terrestrius opener, so if you play it, so the guy's going to be dumping his Terrestrius out there, watching it die, then having enough energy to throw something out to put fun of it, like an Angerus or a flying unit or a Jet Jaguar that can actually defend it as it walks down the field with 10 seconds of its time to evolve already shaved off because you played the Stealth Bomber because you're stupid. It's a pretty bad unit. Wouldn't touch it. Next, another bad unit, Dimension Tide. This thing is non-viable. It costs too much for not as much value. It's super good in the single player mode. It's decent in the single player mode. It's still 5 costs. I mean, I would say maybe lower it to 4, but I don't know. See, I'm thinking about NATO and Clash Royale, which is only 3 and basically does what this does. And NATO's actually very good. And some people that play Clash Royale have even described Tornado as bad design. So yeah, I'm not sure about this one, about how to buff it. Maybe you lower its range and then decrease its energy. I don't know I don't know. But like, would it even be OP if you just lowered its cost to 4? I don't know, dude. A lot of the effects and the quote unquote spells of this game they don't see a lot of play and impact because of the monsters. They just have so much health and yeah, I don't know. It's just not viable. It's a waste of 5 energy. There's better things you can do to kill swarms that do more than just kill swarms. So, it's pretty non-viable trash. Next, the energy generator. I would argue that the energy generator has actually fallen in usage. Team specific is where I would put. I don't know. Okay, fallen in usage is kind of a bad way of saying it because I still see it a lot. I think it's more team specific than people give it credit for. Okay, I'm sure a lot of people have this in A. The reason that I don't is because if you get into disadvantage with this, you can be disrupted. Like, it can be a pain in the ass to kind of use this thing late game, and or it can just end up being a brick in your hand or a waste of 5 energy late game when you really don't have time to spare that 5 energy. If you're going to use this, you need to build a dedicated OPK one push kill. Yeah, that's right. You need to build it around a dedicated OPK squad, or just to have consistent high energy costs. Like, you shouldn't even think about running this unless you have 89, Ultima, and Space Godzilla on the same team. Because that, a Ghidorah. Like, if you're going to run all 4 of those, then maybe run the energy generator. But, I don't know, dude. I just think that around most squads in the game, you can secure energy advantage through outplaying and through good plays. I don't really think you need the energy generator to secure energy advantage. I think once you get energy advantage, like, you can build up to 10 real fast and kind of do any weird play you want to do with units like Ultima, Super X, which we'll get to, and stuff like that that can really, like, just be a constant thorn in your opponent's side and kill so many things. So you're doing your push and building up energy as your push goes. Okay? I don't know how much the 1 extra energy every few seconds is actually helping you. Unless, of course, you're running a very team-specific that needs as much energy as it possibly can build up. So, I don't know. I just think that there are more general units that you can work with that will do more for your team than the energy generator. Now, there might be one argument for A tier that the energy generator kind of allows you to, like, block off some evolution units like Batra and Mothra behind it. That's a tech I've seen people doing. So if you want to argue that pushes it up to A to, like, secure some evolutions, that's fine. It's just that, I don't know, I feel like some people are more inclined to let other units evolve now just for the sake of stopping Ultima. I don't know, dude. I don't know. That one I'm still kind of up in the air about. I dropped it to B here just because I've been consistently beating people that use it. I feel like people that use it could swap it out for something else and be a little bit better. Like, why would you run this over Manila if you have a high energy cost? So maybe both? I don't fucking know, dude. Okay, so that's that. Gigan. Gigan, I believe, has fallen to C for very niche use. I still think he's only good in Biollante decks, and even then, I really don't think you need him. Just play good. Like, if you see your Gigan coming, just play good. Especially since he's a Terrestrius opener. That's the reason he's definitely fallen to C. He's a Terrestrius opener. Just put Terrestrius down when the Gigan player gets down there, and then you can shave off a few seconds of your Terrestrius evolution, and then drop something in front of him to maybe 1 or 2 things in front of him. Maybe like a fucking Terrestrius, Angerus, Terrestrius, Ghidorah, Manila, Jaguar, Manila. Like, just... The Gigan can be used as an energy farming tool, which is never good. If you're going to play him, you're going to play him when you're winning already. Or maybe at endgame, you can sneak him in. So, like, he'll win you games, sure. But, if he's got some... He's very niche. It's very, very, very niche. So, much better as a leader. Definitely invest in him. He's definitely someone you should be investing in. And maybe you can try it out on a team from time to time. But you mostly want to be using him as a leader instead of a unit. I think highlighting his weaknesses as a unit, putting him below everybody else, will encourage you to, like, use him as a leader, because that's where he's good at. Terrestrius is the only evolution we tier because of his importance. Terrestrius, in terms of power, like, in terms of, like, tiering, Terrestrius is technically essential for every team, because you need him to actually have access to Ultima. In terms of power, though, he's in B. He's still team-specific. He's in that tier of power. He needs a lot of support to evolve now. Before, again, a few patches ago, he was just walking, put him by himself, he could basically beat everybody that wasn't King Caesar. But now he needs a lot of support. But, like, once he gets that support, you involve him, and then he's done. He still has a decent attack that is good for providing supplementary damage to somebody else's attack. Like, Angerus and him do good at comboing together. Batra and him do good at comboing. Mechagodzilla and him do good at comboing for the air units. Like, he's very good at providing niche fucking... some extra chip damage to transform 1v1s and get some niche kills. So, definitely still good in terms of power at team-specific, but he's technically essential for every team because you need him for Ultima. Next, Godzilla 2021. Some people have this in A tier, and I will tell you why I don't. He's alright. He can beat units 1v1. He can beat a lot of units 1v1, actually. He can, with Ultima's DPS nerf, he can kind of challenge him. He can challenge a lot of the units in the game. Ghidorah, kind of Mega Gyrus a little bit. If he gets Space Godzilla, not the Crystal, he can do him. Like, a lot of units in the game, he can beat 1v1. However, he's high cost. That's the first problem. And second, he also loses a lot of critical 1v1s. King Caesar loses. 89 loses. The biggest one, though, I will continue to say this, Manila. Manila holds this character down. Because Manila should be being ran in every single team, right? And then if you play your 6-cost Godzilla 2021, and then Manila gets sent out, and then Manila can just stun it and essentially stun lock it. You are losing out on a 4 energy trade there. It can't touch Manila. It's just sitting there. It's technically quote unquote hitting Manila, but like Manila's essentially countering a 6-star piece for 2 costs. That is insanely bad. That is insanely bad. And then like once it's stun locked by Manila, it can essentially be killed by anything. It's a Terrestrius opener. Once it's stun locked by Manila, it is anything you want to hit it with, you can essentially hit it with. King Caesar loses to pretty bad. Again, that's a -2 trade. It does lose to 89, which I mean, you're not losing out in energy there, but you are losing in there's an 89 on the board now, and it just got out for free, and it killed your 2021 in 1 hit, and you have lost out on 6 energy. So, like, and then once it gets lower on health, it can lose to more things, which, I mean, so can everything in the game, so that's not really fair to say to it. But, like, those niche 1v1s, and he's still bad against Swarms, which are better now because of the fall of King Ghidorah to A tier, which we'll get to. But since Swarms are a little better now, you'll sometimes run into a Destroyer Larva. You'll sometimes run into a Kamakuris. Kamakuris is actually, like, good now. So, like, that's another unit that takes it and that beats 2021. Kamakura Swarm, the tanks, the military units that stun it still beat it. Super X can annoy it. Like, there's and then, like, with Super X support, there's a lot of other things in the game that can beat it, like an Angerus or a Mechagodzilla or maybe even Kong. Yeah, Kong could possibly beat it. It doesn't like Space Godzilla's crystals either. It doesn't care too much for that. Rodin could probably beat it with Super X support. Mothra could probably beat it with Super X support. Super X is another unit that's holding it down. But I just think there's too many other low-cost things in the game that annoy it so much that it can't be A tier with the amount of unit trades that it loses. If you can guide it down the field and get it to a unit that it wants to be fighting, it can do great things, but that's team-specific stuff. So you have to account for stuff. Like, you'll need a Ghidorah to make sure you can counter the Swarms, or at least a Jaguar or Mothra or something to deal with the Swarms. And then you'll need another piece that's a true win condition. Like, you should probably still have fucking Ultima, Terrestrius, or 89, both probably in there, and then cut something else out of your team. It's not the win condition, bro. Next, Hedorah. Oh, okay. Next, Hedorah. Hedorah, I'm gonna put in. Oh, I see what I just did. I just deleted the D tier. Wait, no, I didn't. Never mind. Hedorah is now an A tier. Undisputably, I think I was bouncing between A and B last time, but then he got buffed. Now he does more damage, and now splash damage is essentially better than ever because of how much support Terrestrius needs to evolve. So Hedorah just being like, lol, I don't care about your support, and I have insane bulk, and my support around me is going to keep chipping you as well. Splash damage being better than ever, combined with Hedorah's buffs, mean that this unit is crazy good. Plus, his evolution is hard to stop. He's probably because so slow at moving, and then, like, Ghidorah's DPS was nerfed because of the range, and, so, like, the only units in the game that can kind of get down there are Rodin and Mothra or Batra, and then all you gotta do is throw, like, one air unit up to defend it, and then he's pretty much secured the evolution. And then once he himself has evolved, he's very good at helping other units evolve, like a Terrestrius. Very good piece. Very, very good piece. Kind of boring to use, but still very good. And then if somebody's running an Angerus, Angerus hates him. Angerus fucking despises him. 89 Ultima, he can hit them together. Like, there's very, very good. He's such a good piece, bro. I need to run him more, but like he's so good, and I can definitely see that when I play against him. Jaguar, some people have moved him down to B. I don't see it. He's still definitely A, I think. 4 cost, kill swarm counter for 4 cost, no evolution. Can take 3 hits from 89, which is still very, very good. He is a Terrestrius opener, so I guess you could move him to B for that reason. Technical difficulties. He's also a very good Terrestrius protector. And since he's a good protector of Terrestrius as well, like it's kind of teeters around, flips both sides of that coin and that level. Very good at some 1v1s. Can annoy Space Godzilla by blowing up a lot of his crystals at once. Not all of them, because his range is a little bit too specific for that. That's Ghidorah, which we'll get to. But yeah, I still think he has just a little too much to be B tier. With the swarm counters and the range and the I think he's pretty good. I think he's pretty good. He's a little harder to use now, but I still think when you use him, you get a little bit more benefits out of him than you do with some of the other units in the game. Does that make comprende? That makes sense. That make a little sense. Okay, Kamakuris. Kamakuris is now an A tier due to Ghidorah's kind of fall and the Space Godzilla synergy that he has. Space Godzilla being better has helped him because he's just another thing to get in the fucking way when you're trying to hit a crystal. Like when Ultima's trying to hit a crystal or something, like he's about to be in range of a crystal, then the fucker plays a fucking Kamakuris. And it's like, oh, well, now the Kamakuris are going to get 3 fucking hits, and now the Ghidorah that's above me is also hitting me. They add a lot to a Space Godzilla push. Now, that could be team-specific, but they also do other things. Like, again, they can be a thorn in the 89 side. They can check. They can do a lot of good damage to Angerus. Potentially get some Terrestrius kills if he's low on health. Cycle through cards. Like, there's a lot of things that they already did. The only reason they were in B tier before is that Ghidorah was an undisputed threat on every single team in the game. Like, Ghidorah was essential for every team. So, like, every swarm was worse as a result. Now that some teams have opted to drop Ghidorah, they're a little bit safer than they were before. So, especially since Space Godzilla is there to kind of support them. And they add a lot to that push and protect a lot of the units that are trying to work in a Space Godzilla push. Super good. They're very good now. And then, like I said, they do other things besides just that. They're good at protecting. They're good at making Ultima shoot the wrong things as he takes damage from other units. So, they're good. For 2 costs, they will continue to always lightly be the best swarm in the entire game. Kamakura Swarm is now a B tier because of the fall of Ghidorah. They can't provide a lot of offensive pressure. They're more good for defense and the protection of other units. This is the same thing for Destroyer Larva. But just what Kamakura Swarm has over Destroyer Larva is they take up more of the field. The Destroyer Larva is so clumped together, while Kamakura Swarm is more spread out. So they can have a wider range to be attacked. And even though they don't have a lot of health, that's okay, because they can still fucking waste time. You just drop them in front of your Ultima, and opposing Ultima will be shooting the Kamakura Swarms, while your Ultima shoots at the other Ultima. This is like basic swarm usage. And of course, they block King Caesar's dash, which Kamakuris does as well. They can just get in the way and be an annoyance. They're not really, like, good for killing and walking down the field anymore. The role of a swarm has changed, but like what they're good at, they're still good at it. They're still good at it now, if you will. It's just swarms don't dominate the meta anymore. King Caesar, A tier. King Caesar, bruh. The best evolution killer in the game. Some people in the Discord have claimed, I don't know, because my King Caesar's not level 30, but when King Caesar hits level 30, he's absolutely broken and is absolutely an S tier. But can't confirm that yet, but I will say right now he's definitely the best evolution killer in the game for his cost. King Caesar's are like King Caesar's plays can essentially win you games if you just kill him at the right time as yours evolves, and then if you sneak him around, you can do a lot of damage to your That's kind of a gimmick though. And then even after his dash, he has surprisingly good DPS. His attack is very fast and very quick. So he can, like, even if Ultima survives his attack, the next attack will also be done by King Caesar because of how good his DPS is. So you will get a surprising amount of kills with him because of just his regular attack. Most of the time he's killing leaders, it's honestly with his regular attack, TBH. He can hit 89 for decent damage, beats Ultima 1v1 when he hits the dash. So lots of utility here. Lots of utility, stomps those grounded units. He does lose to Jet Jaguar, because of the Jet Jaguar will block the dash, and then I don't know if he loses to Jet Jaguar, does he? Because I think he'll still get that next attack off, too, and break his guard, won't he? Yeah. But Jet Jaguar can slow him down. Some units can tank his hit, like 89, Hedorah, and Angerus. But Angerus is a -1 cost trade if you do that. Manila can sometimes come out and block his dash, which, I mean, it means Manila's now at the bottom of the deck. That's the best place a Manila can be for you, is at the bottom of the deck, because of how hard he is to fucking kill. That's another thing about Ultima and Manila. They sometimes just hang on the field forever. So if your opponent's going to sack a Manila to King Caesar, that's not a bad trade for you at all. Gets Manila out of your face. So yeah, not much new to add to him. He's kind of still filling the role that he filled in the last season as the evolution killer. But he's doing really good at that. And he doesn't just kill 89, not 89. He doesn't just kill Gyrus. He can kill Mothra and Batra as well, and Biollante. But sometimes, like, those other evolutions are just a feeler, so they can bait the King Caesar out and then play Gyrus. So you kind of have to be a little smart with it. Kind of feel out your opponent's cards to see what they're running first, and make sure you can get the best possible use out of it. Just make sure it doesn't get baited out. Next, Ghidorah. The former S tier is now an A tier, solely because of Gigan, I would argue. Solely because of Gigan. Gigan's Bladed Ripper essentially goes, lol, King Ghidorah punish. If someone plays, because before, here's how it worked, but when Gigan wasn't seeing play. It was, somebody played their 89, okay? You would play Ghidorah, so Ghidorah would go down the field and soften it up as it came down, and then you could play something else, and then they would double team it, okay? Now, again, this is something you should never do early game, unless, of course, you see an OPK, but if, like, sometimes late game, you'll just forget, okay? And then you'll play your Ghidorah, or, like, there's a swarm coming, so you'll play your Ghidorah, then all of a sudden your opponent drops in 89, and then a Bladed Ripper. And then 89 sprints under the Ghidorah, takes no fucking damage, you have no energy, and then he just smashes the leader. Okay? This turns King Ghidorah into a liability, and you have to play him insanely smart. Like, you can't just drop him on the field and he wins you games anymore. You have to actually think about what you're doing. This character needs openings to come out. Against Gigan's at least. You can be a little freer with him when it's not Gigan as leader, but when Gigan's the leader, this character needs opens to come out. And since Gigan is such a huge threat at a top level, I mean, even Biollante can kind of exploit him on water-heavy maps. Because two meta leaders in the game right now can really, like, punish you for having him specifically due to his high amount of energy cost and his much lower DPS, especially on 89. 89 can get in there and then kill Biollante in 2 hits, and then kill Gigan in, like, 3 hits. 3 or 4. So, yeah, King Ghidorah being a liability. That's something that you haven't heard since he was really shit. But, that being said, he's not really a liability. You still just have to play smarter with him. He has fallen to A tier because of that horrendous bad matchup, but he's also has more use than ever, because he's the only unit in the game that can beat Space Godzilla's crystals in one shot. And that is insanely good because of how good Space Godzilla also is now. So, like, if you play a Space Godzilla without him, you will feel pretty sad. Maybe Biollante can do it too, so maybe that's a more argument for Biollante to be in team specific. I don't know. I'll have to test Biollante a bit more. But King Ghidorah is certainly being the best unit that can actually do that. And then if it counters the Kamakuris edition by blowing everything up, like, if you blow everything up, you don't have to worry about what's there. You know what I mean? If they play fucking Kamakuris with the crystals, you'll just kill all the Kamakuris and the crystals all at once, and then that will open up Space Godzilla to get hit. Oh, maybe Hedorah can do that too. So that's another argument for Hedorah as well with Space Godzilla. But I don't know. I still feel like Hedorah is gonna need to like actually hit both crystals individually. I don't fucking know. King Ghidorah, I know, doesn't have to do that though. So, and then again, he can still soften up those grounded units, especially when Gigan's not the leader. But you have to kind of be careful because, like I said, Angerus can kind of exploit him for evolutions. He's not as good at killing evolutions as he once was because of the fact that his range was nerfed. So it's like if you place something in front of him, like Angerus will keep moving while Terrestris will just shoot at Ghidorah while Ghidorah will shoot at Angerus. So you kind of have to like pick the right time to use him, but like when you do find that right time to get him on the board, he's super annoying and he's still hard to kill. You have to put a lot of investment into killing him. Like, there are some matches where I just go, if Ghidorah wasn't on my team, I wouldn't have won the game. Because he's still a pain in the ass to kill. He can still get a lot of niche chip damage on that leader, especially late game. He's still a super good late game pick, provided your opponent doesn't drop a fucking 89 right in front of you. So, just, the best advice I have about Ghidorah is make sure you fucking know your opponent's deck before you play him. And leave him in your hand if you think he's going to be a liability. And play something else. That's why, like, my Angerus deck, I kind of alternate between him and Angerus. Kind of. Like, if Angerus is the liability, Ghidorah is usually the play. And if Ghidorah is the liability, then Angerus is usually the play. Or Kong, which we haven't gotten to yet, which we're about to. But, you know, it's just, you gotta just play Ghidorah a little more smart now, is the point. Next, Kong. Kong, I'm going to move up to B as well. I don't know if I was in C last time. He has a similar role to Angerus. Like, he's different Angerus. He's a one more cost, but can hit a little harder. So, like, that's the trade-off. You can't play him as in many situations as you would Angerus, but he will also do more for you when you actually get him on the board. Because he does more damage to 89, making 89 not as good of a check to him, because 89 kind of wrecks the Angerus strat. Well, he doesn't wreck the Kong strat as bad. You can kind of get something else out there. Wins Mechagodzilla 1v1s, but he's serving the same role as Angerus. Plop him in front of Terrestris, you'll get a nice protector for him. He can tank a King Caesar dash, which is nice. He can again, now swarms are getting better. His swarm kill utility is a bit better. He can take less damage from swarms than Angerus would. Even though Angerus can kind of deal with the swarms, Kong will objectively take less damage, so he's still good for that. He can sometimes just straight up hit multiple enemies at once, especially as the board closes, which is actually cool because he has a lot of attack. So if you actually manage to land a punch on like a Mechagodzilla and a Hedorah, or an Ultima and a Hedorah, something to like you'll hit 2 units and you go, wow, that was some nice bonus damage that Kong just gave me for free. So he does have some more utility than I originally thought. He's still not the best, but he's still another body out there. Like, every monster in the game is at least a B tier, and I think that's something you'll see because of how good unit spam is, except for Gigan, because the way Gigan works is just so meh. But every monster that like attacks another monster in the game is at least a B tier because of that. I would still argue. But yeah, there you go. Kong, he beats Angerus one-on-one too. Like, he's got some good 1v1 utilities. And then, again, if you can, like, get him close to Ultima, he'll actually beat Ultima one-on-one, which is very good. He has better DPS than Ultima does. So if you can, like, read your opponent's Ultima with your, like, as you start to push, if you can read what your opponent's going to do as a counter push, you can kind of throw Kong in a position where you can either force the Ultima to be placed somewhere else or kill it early. And when you force the Ultima to be placed somewhere else, this can kind of work for Angerus as well, but this is more so Kong because Kong can actually kill it a lot faster. When you force the Ultima to be placed somewhere else, you can actually start being better prepared to deal with it when it's dropped at that spot. So it's like, well, we'll just place the Ultima somewhere else. Well, yeah, but you're being forced to put the Ultima there, or the Kong's just going to kill it. So you as the player can now anticipate that next play as well. And maybe, I don't know, drop a Kamakuris or a Rodin, which we'll get to, and then make the Ultima shoot at the Rodin, and then it'll take some hits from your Ultima that you're now pushing with. and so it wouldn't get hit by Kong. But then it's like Kong's still coming. They have to invest resources into stopping Kong because he has good DPS. So it's like dropping Ultima on the other side is a temporary solution. They still have to drop something that to deal with Kong, which will make Ultima's resources for defense go down because Ultima likes to be guided in. So if something's over there dealing with Kong, you can kill the Ultima easier with something like a Jaguar or a Rodin or a Mothra, or while your old Ultima shoots at it. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot that goes into it more than just place the Ultima away from the incoming Kong. So that's what. So that's kind of something Kong can offer. Kong and Angerus can offer for your own push. Two pretty good units, bruh. Next, Destroy Larva, B tier. They can hit air units, which is good. I need to level them up and retest them because with how good air is right now, they don't like Mothra, but like with how good like a Mega Gyrus or a Batra or right now, or Rodin, and they can definitely kill those things and be a niche in their side. They're also decent Terrestrius killers. They can do some plays that you wouldn't think they could do. Like, they're alright. The same thing for Kamakuris, though. You kind of want them to, like, be a distraction towards the units that can only hit one unit. That's still their best utility. Just, it's same cost. They're basically the same unit, TBH. One can hit the air and the other can't. That's kind of the difference. It doesn't help that much, though. Mach-a-Light Cannon. I'm going to put a Mach-a-Light Cannon for very niche use C tier. Very, very niche use. It's only good for defense. It is basically Ultima on defense. Like when you drop it down, it has like Ultima's power, but you can't push with it. Which means like Ultima can stay and play longer. A Super X can stay and play longer. Like you can't push with it, and its time on the field is limited because like the opponent doesn't have to deal with it. They know it eventually will die. If they plan their counter push effectively, they can prepare for your Mach-a-Light Cannon to die. So, it doesn't put any real pressure on your opponent. It's more about saving your ass in a bad situation, which can be good, but it's super niche, it's super bad, and anything that it does, you can use a different unit for. Even units that I would dub emergency situations, like a King Caesar or a 89, it doesn't kill 89. It takes 2 hits to kill Ultima, which means it can get killed in that time. It can be easily distracted by swarms, Manila, and other I wouldn't call Manila a non-threat, but its gauge can get easily distracted, and there's just a lot of issues with it as well. So I've dropped it to C. As well as Space Godzilla being in the meta, it doesn't like, because that makes it even more easy to distract. So it's very, very niche. It's very niche. It can work on some very dedicated teams to it, but nobody really runs it at high level. Next, speaking of very niche use, we have the tanks, the tank base. The tank base is a unique swarm because it's the only swarm that can stun. That's the first thing. And then the second thing, this as well as the helicopters, but the tanks are better at it. So if you want to use a swarm like this, you always pick tanks. I call it basically one at a time swarm. It takes the pressure of a swarm and turns it into a straight line that spreads out over time. So like an Ultima will be running down the field, blasting a tank, and then the next tank will pop out. The Ultima will have to turn right and then blast the tank again. Okay? This can be annoying when your own Ultima is in range to hit it. So, like, you put Ultima down, and then the tanks come out, and the Ultima has to then hit the tanks. The tanks also hit everything in the game, whereas the, well, okay, it's not that because the planes technically hit everything in the game, too, but they just have better range. So, they'll provide some decent chip to possibly transform some 1v1s, whereas the planes can straight up just get hit before they even hit you. What am I even saying? So they're good at that. Ghidorah counters them, but what they do is when they group up, they can kind of blast something together, and then maybe if you combine them with their other with their other tank friends. They can stun lock something as well. They're unique. The way that they push is very unique and can be very annoying when it's used right. Okay, now and then again, what they're actually trying to do is actually further supported by the helicopters. Like if you're going to use the helicopters, you should always use the tanks with them because it's just more bodies on the board, more distractions. It's very like the way they play is unique and interesting. Okay, the helicopters are the last thing you'll put down. But like once that combination is working, like when you're running tank base with them, helicopters do go up to sea. I would argue, because it's because just the way they play has a unique synergy with each other. But just when helicopters are by themselves, they're D. And then maybe even when the helicopters are in the group, the tanks could even go up to team specific, because I think they add a lot to each other. I think they like to best be played together. That's just what I've felt since running them. Just they offer a very unique straight line push and then a unit distraction for something like a Rodin to come in and then get some good DPS. So that's kind of what they do. They're a unique unit for sure, and they're definitely the better of the two military buildings. Next, the tanks. I'm going to go ahead and put the tanks in also very niche use. Possibly team-specific as well with the other swarms, but, like, I think they like other tanks in play. That's why I think they're very neat. I think tank base with the tanks can possibly stun lock something, so they're a little bit better. But for 4 costs, I don't really know. They still don't feel like they're that great. They can stun lock Terrestrius, the 2 tanks can, but, like, Terrestrius does not mind being stun locked. Because you can't, if a stun lock Terrestrius is not a dead Terrestrius, it takes more than 30 seconds to kill something through stun locking it. So Terrestrius doesn't care about being stun locked. And they don't take as much of the board to where their presence diverts an Ultima as much as, say, the Kamakuris or the Destroyer. I don't know. I just think they're niche. They've gotten more niche over time, and I think they're bad. And their fucking stun lock properties, they're competing with Manila, who is winning that every time. More technical difficulties. People keep calling me and it interrupts my video. So, what we were saying, Manila wins that every time when you're trying to decide who's picked for stun locking. Manila wins every single time. No contest. So, yeah, that's the problem with the tanks. They're just super niche. You only want them in very, very specific situations. Next, Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla is an A tier still, 4 cost. Good at protecting Terrestrius, good defender. You can slip him in front. He can hit air units still. Very solid unit. I think his usage has fallen just a little bit because I think the rise in things like Bladed Ripper and the fact that 89 is even better now has made him a bit worse. Also, I think his slower movement has contributed to a fall in usage just a little bit. I think there are more transformative pieces that can be played when used right. But just an average one-of-the-mill squad, he's still serving as an A tier. He still does a lot for you as an A tier unit. Still some good damage, good health. Just, it's still all around good. His DPS is actually good, so he can't get stun locked. That's good. He's a way to break Manila, and he's like... So, good DPS and good health. That enough gets him to A. And he can hit air, and he's 4 costs. Super good. Very, very, like, straightforward, but still very good. Next, Mega Gyrus. Mega Gyrus is still an A tier. The ability to debuff the opponent gives you some very good counters to 89 and King Caesar. The fact that Mega Gyrus checks 89 and King Caesar is very, very good. And not only can she check those, she can check essentially everything that gets into that range. Like, there are units that just don't want to take that 20% boost in attack. So that's good. It gives you more time to build up a push, get Terrestrius out there to blast something, especially if you have 10 energy. But like, it's good. It's good. And you basically, she is the most consistent way to kill 89 when he gets close to you. So that alone means that she could debatably be on every single team. Because Batcher doesn't counter 89 as much as she does. Batcher can give buffs, and Batcher can like provide people with enough to counter 89 in specific situations. But if you use Mega Gyrus, like, you can, I don't know, Mega Gyrus is definitely, Batra's more general, but the niches that Mega Gyrus has make Mega Gyrus much better at those niches that she has, if you will. So yeah, Mega Gyrus still good. Good DPS. Also underrated on offense. Still underrated on offense. Can actually get some very, very, very last second Terrestrius kills. All of my last second Terrestrius kills, like when my Terrestrius has been dying at the very, very last split second, I'd say about half of those have been to Mega Gyrus. Because of Mega Gyrus is just slept on damage and DPS. And it's just slept on offensive capabilities. Good health as well. Like, you can't kill Mega Gyrus in like 2 hits. And for every hit you're getting on her, she's getting like 2 on you. So, very, very good. She's a very good piece right now. She's pretty insane, honestly. Next, missiles. Missiles are very, very niche. I'm not going to call them non-viable trash because, like, you can win games with them. You can transform some 1v1s with them. You can stop evolutions with them. You can do things with them, but, like, all in all, fully consistent teams are going to want to stay towards unit spam and monster spam. But they do have some very, very niche uses that you could try from time to time. Next. Next, we have Magura. Magura I've moved up to B for team specific. And the reason I think I've done that is because Magura can be placed anywhere on the board. I think that alone gives Magura some enough utility to continue to see play. Some people still have him higher. But I still think he doesn't transform things enough as he used to. But the fact that he can be placed anywhere on the board objectively gives the unit the most variety in usage. To stop evolutions from evolving, check. To get some last minute chip from your opponent, check. To provide support to transform a 1v1. Like, there's so much Magura can actually do, and then also keep going. Like, that's why Magura is better than the missiles and the train cars. Like, even though it costs a little more. Like, yeah, the missiles can transform a 1v1 and kill the leader last second too. But Magura, after stopping an evolution, can then keep going and be a little bit more of a pain in the ass. It's a unit that contributes to unit spam. So, and Magura can still hit air units, which is still good. Distractions can transform some 1v1s with Ultima in them, which are the most important ones in the game. Magura is my next experiment. Whereas I experimented with Angerus and got him out of B, I might experiment with Magura to see if I can push him up to A. But right now, I like where I have him in B. A little bit more utility than I thought before, but that's about where I have him for right now. Mothra, fallen from S, but is still A. Splash damage unit, good. That's really good right now. Easy to evolve, because most people don't care about its evolution anymore. Can damage 89 without being a huge investment like Ghidorah. So if, like, somebody puts an 89 down, you could throw down Mothra and then still have something else, like a Mega, Mega Gyrus doesn't counter Bladed Ripper, but then you could throw down Jaguar if the guy Bladed Rippers. So, like, you don't lose enough energy to where, like, a Mothra is going to be a Bladed Ripper bait. You know what I mean? I mean, if the guy Bladed Rippers on your Mothra, you might not like that, but you know what I'm saying, dude? The opponent is likely going to, like, assume you're lower on energy if you play a Ghidorah than a Mothra. So, people will be less inclined to Bladed Ripper against her. And then she still has that bullshit where she dies and then she can still kill you because her hitbox just stays out after she's dead, which is still crap. But it's still there, so it's still, like, good. She's still good at killing evolutions. Her damage is still essentially continuous. Like, she's still got a lot to offer. So, I don't think she's fallen to B, especially since she's flying. If she wasn't flying, she'd probably be in B, but since she's flying, she's in B. She's in A. Rodin. Rodin, I would argue, is now an A tier unit. Most people have him in B. He was about to fall to C, but then he got buffed. The only buff that they gave him was they lowered his energy cost by 1, and this has radically transformed the way you use him and the way you play him. It's insane the amount of that little changes actually do. The use that Rodin has, okay, so many uses, okay, so I can't really go through them all here, but I'll list some of them, okay. He's decent early game. A lot of early game combinations will be Godzilla, 89, Manila, and then Rodin. Because Rodin can get out there and soften up 89s, and people don't want to they don't want to soften up 89. Rodin is fast. That's the best thing he has going for him right now. He's fast. 4 costs combined with huge speeds means he can get up there and transform 1v1s faster than lots of the other units can. He doesn't have a dash, so he just has good flight speed. So if your 89 is coming in, you're about to do an 89 Ditto, and you put your Rodin up there, the Rodin could potentially get to the opponent's 89, hit him twice before the 89s even clash, which means your 89 is going to win that. And in order to avoid that, you have to, what's the fastest flying unit I can get up there as fast as possible? You look at every unit in this game, ladies and gentlemen. The only flying unit that is 4 costs that doesn't evolve is Rodin. It's the only one. So Rodin is the only monster in the game that fills that specific role. And again, if your Ultimas are about to clash, send your Rodin up there. The Ultima that you're facing will be distracted while yours blasted. These are very interesting interactions. Another thing that Rodin does very good at is hitting distracted units and hitting grounded units. But let's say your Ultimas are clashing, then you send the Rodin out. Then the Rodin goes up, nothing's in its way, it gets up there super fast, and then it hits the Ultima. The Rodin with its good DPS it's probably the best unit in this game at killing distracted units. Because he'll just go up and fucking kill him, man. He'll just go up and kill him. For 4 costs, that's insanely good. So, this character has a lot of utility. And you can, if somebody plays Kamakuris or Kamakura Swarm, that's a free Rodin entry. He doesn't have a lot of health, so you kind of have to, be smart with him. But once you get him out there, insanely good. Another thing that he can do is kill Super X. He's very consistent at killing Super X and getting it in the bottom of the deck quickly, which Super X is fucking stupid good right now. So if you fucking get Super X dead fast, that's really good. And Rodin's the quickest unit in the game at killing it, and I would argue. So there is a lot that Rodin can actually do. I forgot that Super X is a flying unit that doesn't evolve as well. But Super X doesn't do as much damage, but I don't know. It's a trade-off between the Super X and Rodin. It's a trade-off between the two of them. They kind of both do the same thing, TBH. Next, Space Godzilla. Space Godzilla is A tier. The crystals are very good. Their position is now very annoying, as I've said before. And they transform 1v1s. It's basically a character that can generate a swarm around him. So, what Kamakuris is good at, Space Godzilla is also good at. He can just generate 2 extra hit points for himself. Which, Space Godzilla can really take advantage of 89 and basically keep 89 perma-looped at striking crystals, which is insanely, insanely good. Because if you turn that 89 and its big health bar into a liability, which is his biggest weakness, because sometimes you can use 89 to start swarming it, building up energy with Mega Gyrus, slowing it down, and just getting a group of guys to smash it, and then they go up and OPK the guy. So the fact that Space Godzilla can essentially allow you to turn Godzilla 89's massive health into a liability is insanely good. Combine that with the attack boost that he constantly gives as you go down the field. That's insanely good as well. And transforms 1v1s. The entire point of Space Godzilla is to transform as many 1v1s as he can. That's why he's such a high priority target. But even then, that's why they'll throw him behind stuff. Because the crystals will protect the Ultima that's in front of him, while the Ultima protects him, and then the Kamakuris will be there, will protect everything. So that's why you kind of need King Ghidorah. But, the King Ghidorah is going to lose to the Ultima one-on-one, and then once you continue pushing correctly, and maybe you have a Hedorah there also hitting the King Ghidorah. Space Godzilla's pushes are very slow, but very effective. They're undeniably effective, and that's why he's here in the A tier. Healing Chorus, Healing Chorus, even with its buff, I still consider it non-viable. It's better in the event a little bit, but in 1v1s, the slow heal that you get doesn't help and doesn't transform 1v1s nearly enough as some of the other stuff. Trains, same thing as missiles, very niche use. There's they have a lot of application, but like the application is just very, very niche, and so it's a lot of the times they're just a very bad play. I also think that Freeze is still B, barely. I think it's barely holding on. It's very team specific and very situation specific. It can counter King Caesar, which I think is the reason it's in B while the others are not. You can basically get a Mega Gyrus for 2 costs on a King Caesar or an 89. So it still has a bit more utility than its friends that are also spells, but overall, I think through the rise of Mega Gyrus has completely negated its overall use, but like it's basically discount Mega Gyrus. Mothra Leo is underwhelming. Ugh. A B tier unit for sure. Not as good as King Caesar, because King Caesar, okay. To explain why King Caesar is better than Mothra Leo, you have to look at a few factors. 1, cost. King Caesar's only 4, Mothra Leo is 5. 2, Mothra Leo does not hit as hard. King Caesar's dash is better than Mothra Leo's attack. Mothra Leo's dash. And I think the reason for that is they were worried that Mothra Leo would be OP, because they knew how good King Caesar was, and they knew that Mothra Leo was going to be a flying unit that did this. So they didn't want to make her like too good. Make him, he's a boy, right? Yeah. So they nerfed it a little bit. Now, granted, mine's only 4. Maybe it evens as you go up. But right now, it feels like all Mothra Leos I've played against, their dash is worse than King Caesar's. And I think the reason for that is that King Caesar's is specifically only can hit grounded units, okay? However, all the important units that you'd want to hit with it are on the ground. The 89s that take big damage. All the evolution pieces. They're all on the ground. So there's no reason that you want to use Mothra Leo's weaker dash over theirs. And then Mothra Leo also has shit DPS after the dash goes off. Very bad. Very, very shit. I would argue that he needs a buff in that department. He should just mirror King Caesar. But he has very, very shit DPS, which means after that dash, he's pretty fucking useless in an actual 1v1. So, a unit that I think needs some work, but it overall has a bit of potential. So, he's B, team specific. Does Ghidorah, I have not seen yet, so I don't know. I'm not going to tier him. Dorats, I would argue that they're probably very niche use. Yeah, sorry, I forgot they existed. I haven't seen them yet, but them on paper, I think I can honestly just straight up make a judgment on them. An Air Swarm doesn't seem very good in this game, because everything that's in... You can use Destroy Larva as a framework, for one, as a reference. And, like, how can I put this? Because of how good the air is right now, and how half the units want to be in the air, they're not going to be able to realistically swarm anything. They're kind of bad for the same reason the helicopters are bad. Like, they're not going to be able to just kill ground units all the time, which is what they'd be good at. They're not going to be able to do that. And I'm sure they're not going to be able to hit 89 with enough DPS to where they're actually going to be able to realistically kill him. So maybe when I'm able to level them up, I'll test them, see if I can find anything to get them into B. But right now, no, I don't see it. Fire Rodin as a total package, I'm going to put in B. I don't see it quite yet. The evolution is horrendously bad. This unit right here is actually non-viable. It's the only one I'll tier, so you can kind of see that. The evolution unit is fucking terrible. And the reason that it's fucking terrible is that it speeds itself up when it's placed out. That is terrible for an evolution unit. That is fucking garbage. So, you basically put yourself on the opponent's line of attack first, which is shit. That is very, very bad. Okay, so the benefit that you can get from Fire Rodin as an actual unit could be good, but because the evolution is so fucking trash, the opponent should stop it realistically every single time. So, yeah, that's my stance on Fire Rodin from what I've seen so far. And then the last unit in the game, Super X. I'm going to put Super X in A tier for right now, but it's possibly an S tier unit. In fact, I might just be that guy and throw it in there. This thing is fucking annoying as shit. I'm going to get this thing done if it's the last fucking thing I do. So many fucking calls, bro. I've been called so many fucking times. Ugh. So, what was I saying? Super X. You put this fucking thing in the back and just watch it do work. That's what this fucking thing does. It's you put it in the back, and that it has so much fucking range. So the 1v1s are happening, and this thing's just shooting its shit. It's just shooting its shit. And you're watching before your eyes as you can't touch this thing because there's so many fucking units out there, but it touches you. So its low HP doesn't fucking matter because it sits there and just shoots from behind and then kills you. And then it kills you, and then it locks into you way fucking earlier than anything else in the game does. So you're sitting there taking chip, and you can't hit it yet because all the other monsters you're putting out are dealing with the rest of your opponent's push. So the Super X is just sitting there, and you're just losing health over and over again. And by the time you actually deal with the Super X, half your health's gone. And then, guess what? It's rotated back in. So, as soon as you kill it, the next thing's, it's already out again, and it's going to start... It's already shooting at you. People that have used this thing that I've played against, and they have good ones, they're impossible to beat. And a big reason for that is because of the Super X. This thing is a fucking disgusting unit. It's so good. It's so good. This is probably an early placement, but I'm going to go ahead and give it S tier because I want people to pay attention to this fucking unit. It's so fucking good. Okay, so that's my tier list for the Champion of the Sky. Little bit different than some of the other ones you might see, but that's what we do around here, bruh. Sorry this video was filled with fucking people calling me. I need to, find a way to record off my laptop. I'm very sick of being called. Alright, I'm getting the hell out of here, lads. Finally, GG's.